So here we have the IMS 7-gallon tank for the XR650R Honda 2001 to 2007. And this is going to be a basic video of how to install all the bits that come with it. So I will set this on a tripod and do the best I can, trying to explain, show, and that way, hopefully this answers some people's questions of pretty much prepping the tank before you install it. So the first thing you're going to want to have is some basic tools. You're going to want an 8mm socket. And you're going to want an 11mm, but no problem if you can't find your 11mm. The 7/16 works just fine. And the first thing we'll go ahead and do is you'll take the tank, you'll locate the holes on the bottom in the various areas. So this is where your petcock would go. You would transfer it over. Pretty straightforward there. Here's a hole. You'll say, well, what's that for? That is for, there's 3 of these total. And that is what the 11mm wrench is for. This screws in here. You want to make sure these holes are clear of debris. Because notice there's some in that one. And then the next ones are located right here. I'll make sure that one is free. Yeah, that one's pretty good. Then on the other wing, it's right there. And that one looks pretty well open. So this spot over here is for the vacuum operated fuel pump that pumps those various areas back up to the petcock. So the first thing we'll want to do is, I'll go ahead and do the ones that are pretty well clear there, but for this one maybe to trim up inside, probably it's going to be hard with me. You'll want to use a drill bit. Forget the size, I'll have to look that up here in a minute and come back to it. But what you'll do is you'll take some Teflon tape, standard from the hardware store. You'll go ahead and wrap the threads There's a right and a wrong way. I mean, obviously when you thread this in, you don't want it to come undone. Yeah, and make sure you don't have the Teflon tape, too far that way, that direction. It's better to be too high up on the nut area. Now note, these are just plastic. You might actually want to go find these in a brass fitting. I would recommend, if you did that, maybe try some on 90-degree ones. Because, these do come out. Well, I guess it does point right back, so maybe you don't, I guess you don't need the 90-degree. I was thinking they were further down here. But just take them. The hole should be threaded. Of course, it's one of those things. Plastic in a plastic. Yeah, that looks like it's going by hand. Oop, see? There you go. So you get either, like I said, 11 or the 7/16 will work. Try to be gentle. I'm applying some pressure with my thumb as I start it because, again, it's, you know, it's a piece of plastic threading into plastic. I hope this goes in. If not, I might actually have to, you know, clean up the holes with my what you do is on the barb fitting, take Teflon tape, wrap it around, start this by hand, then take your 11mm and go ahead and tighten this down. Of course, you want to be careful because we are talking just plastic on plastic here. And I already cleaned out this hole, if you're wondering. Just gonna look at it. It seems like it can be that it's in there. Okay, so there's that fitting. This would be for your petcock, remember? I used a, what did I use? A 7/32 drill bit to go in and just by hand. You can see the stuff in there and by hand do it perfect size. It's fine. So I can kind of clean it up. So I'm gonna do the next two fittings and I will then come back again, wrapping Teflon tape and screwing those in both wings. Oop, I guess that one's off camera over here. So you'll notice I've done a little bit since I left off. So what I went and did is I bought a brass nipple. And this is what I got at AutoZone. Forget the cost, for something per. They only had two, but I decided to change this one and this one. Main reason I had no choice because this one the threads were all boogered up. You know, I had my tap set out over there. You can see. The holes just don't go all the way through. I don't think I have one that matched the pitch of the plastic. And this claims to be the pipe thread. It seemed pretty dang close, but not perfect. But I went ahead and you can make them work. I used well, this one seeing as it was kind of boogered up. Nothing to lose. Let's move that line. I used a map torch and I started this, heated it up, pushed it in, or I should say used a finger and cut myself because the brass ones are very sharp. So use a glove or something, push down, use the 11mm, twist it, get it in there. And once I had it in, then what I did was I took the map torch and I heated the brass up. And what that did was you could watch the brass change color go down and it would heat up the ABS plastic to a point where it becomes soft. Where if you touch this, it was a little wobbly. That's good. I gave this a little twist and then just hold it there and let it sit and cool and it becomes hard again. Then I took the 11mm and I took it out. New threads, matching those. Then, just to make sure that the tank's not going to leak or that fitting's not going to leak, I have some Yama Bond 4. Love the stuff. And, it resists chemicals and what have you. I mean, it's a liquid gasket. I've used on various things. It's awesome. I mean, there's a little spot that leaked out there from the pinhole and sealed it, and it's pretty cool. I mean, nothing's going to come out of there once I have Yama Bond around the thread. So I took this out, put the Yama Bond on, threaded it back in. Note everything is cool, and use the wrench. Go until and you have to be careful because your metal into ABS You know, just as you have to be careful with the plastic into the ABS. You go and stop, and that's gonna harden nice. You're never gonna take these out. I mean, who's gonna take that out? So basically, I decided I bought two. Might as well change this one. I thought I could more or less force thread this one in to start because it was a cleaner thread. I mean, I was able to get the plastic one in, but no, I was unable to. So I pretty much destroyed the threads. It ended up being like this one, destroyed. Nothing else to, not much to do. I could call IMS and probably get a different tank or whatever. But why go there? Metal's stronger. So see, I mean, it's not going anywhere. I mean, it's into hard ABS. It is not pulling out. It's not going to fall out. It's not going to leak. So I did the same method here. Put the nipple in as best I could. Heat it up. And kind of push and screw it in. And kind of play around with things. And get it to where it was lined up how it should be, and heat up the nipple, let it melt around, hold it there, let it cool, and then after a little bit you can take your hand off, walk away, let it cool really good. Then wrench it out, new threads. So then what I did was same thing, put on the Yama Bond onto the nipple, thread it in, and then now because it's new clean threads, I'm threading right into it. Fine, I just thread it in by hand to a point. There's going to be resistance. Use the wrench, tighten it, I actually use the open end, go very slow, get it down to where it looks good all the way around, call it good. Let it cool, and it's in there. It's not going anywhere. So next step into this whole tank setup is putting on the vacuum pump. Well, this is the vacuum pump. So I put a little blue Loctite, which is, just this stuff. You've seen it at the store. Medium strength. Typically is the blue. Sometimes I've had one where it was red, but it said medium. So, you're going to have to look at the wording and be careful. So they give you hose. I cut this hose. They give you the hose fittings here. Put that on. That's perfect. The vacuum pump, so blue Loctite, and a 8mm, thread those into the brass fittings that they have in the tank already. This is your vacuum pump. Okay, we'll see if I have this right now. Man, mentally thinking this through is actually it boggles one's mind. The directions was just a sheet of paper. Most people do better with visual. I know I do. No pictures, so trying to decipher what is being said. Okay, so I think I'm going to have to cut this line here that goes from this fitting to here, because once you think it through, this is the vacuum pump. That has to draw from this wing, the left wing, and the right wing. So I need to splice that in there. So let's assume I have this brass barb fitting in here. And we'll say, I put it in around there. So then I need a piece of hose that goes from here. It's going to cross around the engine and come into here. So this is going to suck fuel from here, and it's going to suck fuel from here. Then this is going to transfer the fuel into the vacuum pump, out here. That will go to this barb fitting. A little closer there. In the barb fitting, it will then dump the fuel up into this area. As you can notice, there's a line that's kind of like a wall. Your petcock is going to suck the fuel that's being dumped into there and go right to your carb. You'll have a line from the petcock to your carb. This line right here operates the vacuum pump. And that's going to kind of like this, curve up and attach to the top of your carb. On the engine side, left side of your bike, if you were to be sitting on it, you will install this fitting. Put a little either pipe dope, Yamabond, put a little something on there to make sure that seals really good on carb. You'll remove a small bolt, same diameter. I forget what it was exactly. I think it was a 6. Might be an 8. Here, let's see. Do it real quick. It is a 8. So 8 millimeter. So you'll remove the bolt that caps it off that has a brass washer. Remove that from the carb. You'll install this, put something on it, make sure it seals. There's a little rubber seal, but you know, don't just count on that. Just put a little. You can see I kind of did it. Took it off. I'm pressure crunch to ride the bike, so I can't install the tank right now. So then take this, you put it in the carb. Now what they tell you to do is take this yellow bit, shove that onto there. Where is it? It's in my hand. And then they give you this clear plastic piece, shove that into there, and then this end on top of that. Okay. Plastic. Somebody said on Thumper Talk that it broke on them. So they said to basically do away with that. Wasn't quite understanding exactly how they meant to do it, but what I would do, this yellow is the same, goes into there with some force. So I would take some Yamabond or RTV. Once you get these hoses all the right length, and I would just go halfway in, twist it, and RTV it. I mean, you can't put a hose clamp really on it because it's a piece of hose. But RTV it right on. Right in there, and then just slide that barb fitting right there. You know, pretty straightforward. Or I think how they were saying on Thumper Talk was to get a good silicone vent line and you could force it over the bigger diameter of the fitting here at the vacuum pump and just run that line. Or I think you could just go this route. Heck, it almost looks like you could probably almost put them really close together. Yamabond that. That's going to work just fine, I think, It's not going to come out with Yamabond. Yamabond's going to be like glue, or even RTV is going to be like glue and hold that. But whatever you feel comfortable with, because this is going to be transferring the fuel from, down low to up pretty high. So, let's go ahead, I guess, flip this, take a look. That's the cap that comes with it. This spot is for your seat attachment. You put the screw in and then you put that rubber strap on. So, tank is going to kind of be like this on your bike. So, fuel is only going to be sucked here. I mean, if your tank is full, that's probably a lot of miles until it gets down to where it's actually needing to pump the fuel up here, I'm going to guess. But, defeats the purpose of the big tank if you're not sucking, but, and you really wouldn't know the vacuum pump's not working until that. Until then, which if you weren't planning to get fuel or you skip the fuel stop, you're in trouble. And there's a rubber diaphragm inside here. There's 4 Phillips screws. You can take this apart. You can buy extra diaphragms and replace that. Is that something you would carry normally? Probably not. If you were going a big long distance, other countries, yeah, you'd probably carry a few extra. You know, why not? You'd probably definitely for sure want the brass fittings here. I mean, if you tip over, you know, it's good. That's going to be harder to break than the plastic. So I think that's worthwhile going through this hassle of the fittings, putting them in. Like I said, I'm 100% confident that I mean, they're in there. They're not gonna. It's not gonna leak. You know, the ABS is melted around the threads, and it's been threaded, rethreaded to these guys, and with the Yamabond, I don't see it leaking. I don't see them yanking, pulling out. Yeah, that's basically it. So there we have it. I hope this helps some people. There might be other parts to this video, I don't know. There's plenty of the hose clamps. You got spacers for the wings. They give you 2 longer bolts. And that's pretty much it. So please like, subscribe, and check out my other videos.